Well, excuse me, Tesla software team, how is full self-driving coming along? We'd like those robo-taxis, please.
Elon, I told you, we're trying to fix park assist right now for all those cars that we removed ultrasonic sensors
Yes,
from.
but don't you remember, we need to also figure out autopilot on the Tesla Semi. Should that be possible?
Okay, I promise, eventually I will get around to that.
Fairly important we optimize full self-driving for hardware 4. There's a new camera layout, HD radar on the Cybertruck as well. And yes, that reminds me, Cybertruck has a very different cyber-themed operating system to go with that giant cyber wiper.
Yes.
All kinds
We'll
of
get
UI
there.
changes,
Yeah.
all of maps needs to be fixed, and robo-taxis need to be ready end of this year.
That's it! I can't take it anymore. I'm done.
Thank you very much.
At least in the investor community, there's a lot of discussion about what Tesla should do with their big giant cash pile, because they've still got over 20 billion in cash, which can get a lot done, and they've announced Giga Mexico, which we assume is going to be a couple $1 billion to ramp that up, but some want Tesla to blow it on advertising to try to reverse the alleged demand drop that's going on. In reality, I think it's more of a production increase than an actual demand drop, but what I think is actually Tesla's greatest strength against all of their competitors is software, and yet here I am putting my foot down and saying I actually think they should double down on this. With all of this big cash pile, which, yes, I would say most of us agree during the recession, it's probably good to just kind of hoard a lot of that cash and not necessarily spend all of it, but everyone has a different opinion on what Tesla should be spending more of their money on. Very few people I can tell out there are just like, no, don't invest anymore, just kind of hoard cash. I'm in favor of Tesla investing more on software engineers to make their products better, because across the board, that seems to consistently come up as an issue for more and more of the products that people are frustrated with, whether it be the park assist, whether it be the full self-driving, or in the case of the Tesla Semi, they seem to be having parking brake bugs, leaving them off the side of the freeway all the time, and people seem to like making posts and articles about it. Even though there's probably less than 100 Tesla Semis on the road, it seems to still be a pretty common occurrence, and a lot of this just comes down to the software team, in my opinion, being stretched too thin. And I've even had people disagree with me on that in the comments, saying, no, Drew, you don't understand software development, which is probably true, but a lot of people disagree that more people cannot solve the problem, whereas I tend to believe that if there were more designated teams for each project, I struggle to understand how this would not fix the problem more so if there was just a designated team focusing on each sector of the business, because right now I can tell you already there's clearly tons and tons of sections of Tesla's operating system that are completely neglected, that people just don't pay attention to, especially when it comes to things like the free version of autopilot or not bringing down features from full self-driving, which is on this single stack of version 11, but they don't want to bring that to enhanced autopilot. And then again, for a time, Elon said, oh yeah, we're gonna have actually smart summon ready in a couple weeks, and then like 6-7 months go by and it never got better, and we have a barely working version of park assist for these vehicles that don't have ultrasonic sensors, but still we don't have summon for them, we don't have smart summon for them, we don't have auto park, because the software team is all focused on trying to make version 11.4 work better, because Elon said it was pretty promising on Twitter. So from what I can tell, there's not a team designated to updating existing versions of things. They just have a very core, hardworking team focusing on trying to knock down as many autonomous driving pins with the full self-driving code, but that leaves customers who bought the Tesla Semi for well over $200,000 wondering, where is autopilot, and why are my screens flickering, and why is my truck stuck on the side of the road and I can't continue driving it? Now couple that with the fact that the Cybertruck, at least according to the prototype, has a completely different user interface that seems to put more of the navigation items onto the left side menu, and the navigation is more diagonal than before, has this entire cyber aesthetic. So where are they going to find the time to update the Cybertruck as well with all of these new software features? Couple that with the ever-growing wish list people are making of, I want CarPlay, I want Android Auto, or I want you to fix these features, or I want an app store, which personally I still think Tesla should absolutely do. Now, with well over 4 million vehicles on the road, if Tesla had an app store where they let developers take control of games or streaming service availability, at least when the car is in parked, they could start with that, and you could even have apps or features that are paid, and then Tesla could take a cut of it. If you're looking for more ways of bringing in revenue, why not monetize your existing customer base rather than try to spend money on convincing people to buy your product product that clearly probably aren't interested in your product. And I came to this realization as to why I think Tesla should double down and have more consistent software updates more recently, because I love the most recent update I got in my Tesla, but I feel like those kinds of game-changing, very helpful, beneficial updates should not be once or twice a year. These should be things that happen every couple of weeks or at least once a month, and it got me on the thought process of looking at things like the Ioniq 6 or the Lucid Air, and I think those types of vehicles are amazing. You know, they have great aerodynamics, and personally, I think they look beautiful, but they've been plagued a lot by software issues, and even to a certain extent Aptera. I think all of their focus is on the hardware, and I'm excited to see the hardware come out, don't get me wrong, but I wonder if that extreme focus on the hardware is going to lead to some potential neglect when it comes to the software. And that made me think about the idea of what if there was an electric vehicle company out there that just put all of their emphasis on the software, and the software just always came first. That was their top priority, and then the hardware was all secondary, and they actually had kind of crappy hardware that was not that great, but they just put so much emphasis on having the best possible software experience. How would that fare against this EV startup world, which is full of a lot of legacy automakers and new companies that have very, very little interest in designing good software, but they put all of this interest in designing great hardware? And then the funny realization I came to is I just described Tesla. Tesla is the company with the best software, both for the mobile app on the phone and for the operating system in the car. The supercharging, the battery preconditioning, the route planning, the waypoints, the customization for the scroll wheels and everything. Tesla definitely has maxed out what they can possibly do, in my opinion, with how functional the software can be in their vehicles. And a lot of the time, the hardware takes a back seat. That is secondary to them a lot of the time. That could involve putting in less energy-dense cells, which have worse efficiency, worse range, or that could involve taking out basic features that everybody else has had for years, like ultrasonic sensors, or it could involve having bad build quality with like shoddy paint jobs or glass roofs that fall off or wind noise in the cabin, which my car had. And I know there's some of you out there that said, my Tesla's fine, my Tesla's perfect, there's no issues, but anytime you see one of these vehicles taken to a detailer, there's always a bunch of quality control issues that people bring up, and things that go loose or things that start peeling over time. So I know it's easy when you're not having an inspection done on your vehicle to just comment, yes, my vehicle is perfect, there are no issues. But in reality, Tesla is known for having somewhat spotty build quality, but my point is, most people don't care about that. Tesla has the best sales. That's why the Model Y is the best-selling car in Europe, and it was the best-selling vehicle in the United States outside of pickup trucks, because the quality control of how good the paint is, or how good the wind noise is, or how well the panels are aligned doesn't matter that much to people, because they don't really look at the car that way on a daily basis. They don't really care or get affected by a lot of those things as much as they are the software. The software you spend a lot of time with on a more daily basis, and you kind of have to interact with it. And I think that's part of the reason Tesla has had such a substantial lead on everybody else, is because they put the software first. So if you want the product to continue to increase in desirability, and you want more and more people paying a premium for your vehicle because it's a Tesla, and that carries a certain amount of magic to it, both with the supercharger network and the software simplicity and elegance. That's why I think, yes, of course, continue ramping up their factories. That's kind of a given. Everyone knows they're doing that. But in regards to how Tesla could change their investments on a more day-to-day basis, I think having more designated teams that focus on, let's fix some of the problems that basic autopilot has, which according to FSD take rate data, 90% of people buying a Tesla are not paying for full self-driving, both the subscription or the $15,000. So making sure they get the best possible version of autopilot that is the safest, that does not make mistakes. And honestly, I think you might even see an uptake in full self-driving take rate if people actually were more impressed with the free versions of the code. Because in the current state that I'm in, and from what I've seen other people experience, you turn on autopilot and it makes a bunch of mistakes, and it's kind of scary, or it makes some stupid decisions because a lane opened up and the car jerked the wrong way. When you go through that experience, you don't feel very tempted to now go ahead and drop $200 for full self-driving or $15,000 to buy it outright. No, if a service or software stack is not performing well, most people's go-to is not to pay more money so that it performs better. It's like going to a restaurant with poor service and then thinking, oh, I should have ordered a more expensive item off the menu, then I would have gotten a better meal, right? Like, if you impress people with the free versions of the code, I think they'll be more inclined to spend extra money to unlock more features. And right now, Tesla themselves acknowledges with the single stack version of FSD Beta version 11 that the enhanced autopilot code is over 4 years old now. So that's why there's still a lot of mistakes and a lot of errors it makes. Same thing with Smart Summon, same thing with Auto Park, which in tests there's been proven proof that other car companies have actually surpassed the performance of Autopark than Tesla because, well, they haven't touched it in 4 years because the team is all focused on robo-taxis. But I think by coming up with more free to access and widespread software features that makes the product more desirable, that's going to be free advertising in itself because it's going to get more people talking about the car. In fact, in the past month, the best video I had perform on this channel was talking about an amazing software update that I got for free in my Tesla. It wasn't about me spending $15,000 on a certain update. And if you launch an app store that is available to millions of Tesla owners out there, think of all the desirability that that unlocks for people that haven't quite made the switch yet. And they start seeing, oh my god, all of these other cars don't even have app stores, but Tesla's on a whole nother level, kind of building out an entire ecosystem of products. And sure, maybe they don't want to do CarPlay or Android Auto, but with more of a software emphasis on these ease of use features like we got recently, you could bake in the option to utilize Apple Maps instead of Google Maps, which I think might solve a lot of the navigation issues my Teslas have been having lately, because it's all powered through Google Maps. If you had Apple Music on there and Apple Maps, and you could have AirPlay support, which Elon talked about offering in the past, that's a third-party thing. You don't need to have access to some Apple hardware to put AirPlay on a display. That might make a lot less people ask for CarPlay in the first place, and that just requires a lot larger and a lot more people designated to each one of these divisions. I don't think with the same team that Tesla's working on right now, they can add all of these features as quickly as people are asking for them because they're stretched too thin, and software development is really, really challenging. I know it's valuable and I know it's difficult, and that's why I don't expect a small group of people to be able to do everything Tesla is expecting them to do right now, especially us as a customer base constantly asking for more and more software features. In my opinion, it's just unfair to expect the existing team to do everything we want them to. Free features that you don't have to pay extra for, like reviewing Sentry Mode clips from the mobile app. You know, people have been asking for that for years, haven't gotten around to it because, in my opinion, they're stretched too thin, and that could be another premium connectivity perk, which encourages more people to sign up for software as a service. And if Autopilot actually starts performing really, really well for free, I think that will encourage more people to start using it for free and then realizing, wow, this is really good. Imagine what it could do if I paid for enhanced autopilot or if I paid for full self-driving. Then it would be even better rather than, holy crap, this is not very encouraging. This is really shady. This is really spotty. If that's the case, I don't think I want to try full self-driving because then it's just going to be shady and spotty and I'll be missing out on my own personal money.
Also, where are the adaptive matrix LED headlights? This should be able to blur together high beams and low beams, but we're waiting on the software.
Also, in my opinion, there should be a camera app to take advantage of this in-car camera. When I was a kid, we'd always play around with the photo booth app on Macs. In Apple stores, you could have face filters, and you could even share them directly to Twitter. Where is Twitter, by the way? Come on, Elon, you own this. You should be able to browse Twitter and send tweets from the car itself. And maybe this one's a stretch, so I apologize if it's a little out there, but something I've always wanted cars to be capable of doing, and I think it could be done via software update. Whenever I signal, the blinker synchronized with the music you were listening to. Can't you just picture like a... And if you're listening to faster music, then the blinker can beep, at least inside the car, a little bit faster. I just feel like that would fix my OCD, because sometimes I'm sitting at the stoplight with the blinker on, waiting to turn, and I'm listening to music, but the blinker's not in sync. I know this is first world problems, but sometimes it's the little details. It's the little things that sway people to buy one car over another.
Feel free to let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and thank you to everybody supporting this channel directly. Seriously, helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos. Have an excellent rest of your day.